Alrighty, so we'll move on to the PowerPoint, and it just kind of as a recap. Joe works inside here at the office almost all the time. Both myself and Zane travel quite a bit. Zane travels quite a bit with tour because part of his responsibilities are on tour, and part of his responsibilities are aftermarket sales. And my job is, aftermarket and OEM and marketing. So I'm traveling quite a bit as well. So if you're ever looking for that contact that's always at MRC, 99% of the time, it's Joe. So we'll go ahead and move on now to the PowerPoint. Zane, do you want to go ahead? So I just, Frank, you'll have to stop maybe if you want after this. It's kind of a short section, but I know this is something that's interesting for a lot of our customers, and really what kind of makes us different than other shaft companies that are out there. One thing I always like to start with is, we're a material company first and foremost. Mitsubishi Rayon is technically our parent company, and our giant parent company is called Mitsubishi Chemical Holding Group, which is a multi-billion-dollar company that has 4 or 5 divisions in there that are similar to Mitsubishi Rayon, like Mitsubishi Plastics. There's pharmaceutical division that's all part of Mitsubishi Chemical. Our office and our facilities are called MRC Golf. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of Mitsubishi Rayon, operating in California, working directly for Mitsubishi Rayon, which is developing carbon fiber and which is making these golf shafts that we sell today. Our offices here opened up in 2004. We basically handle sales and marketing and tour for all things golf shaft, MRC, except for products out of Asia. So Asia is kind of a big term, in that it's Japan, it's Korea, it's China, it's Southeast Asia. Even India, they consider that sort of part of Asia since it's on that continent. We have a counterpart office that's in Japan that's called MRCP, which I didn't put on this graph because probably no one in here handles sales with Asia. If you do, you can always send myself or Zane or Joe a note, and we can get you pointed over to contact in Asia. But for the most part, MRC Golf is your primary sales office here in the U.S. I put Aldila on there as well, just because that's a recent acquisition from Mitsubishi Rayon. It's separate than MRC Golf in that we are 2 separate subsidiaries. Both of us are owned by Mitsubishi Rayon. Our offices, MRC Golf, we are in Carlsbad. Aldila's offices are in Poway, which is about 30 minutes away. It's not that far, so they're a partner, but they're not directly the same company as MRC Golf. But we both share the same parent company. So I know that's been a lot of questions, and that acquisition happened about 2 years ago, and so we're kind of working our way through that now. And overall, I think it's been pretty good, but the Rogue product has been hot. That features some materials from our parent company, and Aldila is one of the most recognizable brands out there, so we're glad to have them aboard. So.
Hey, Chris, if I could interrupt for a second. A couple of guys, I don't see it on my computer. It's a little bit dark. It's not terrible. But a couple of guys watching on their iPads are saying the screen is very dark. Do you have a way to brighten that up a little bit?
Let us try.
Come on. Okay, there we go. Where would it be under?
Probably in the settings. And your screen settings. Do you have a brightness thing on the? You should have one on your desktop. So if you click S, it's already at your maximum level.
I think so.
Frank, it's already at his maximum. I'm not sure why it's dark.
Well, it looks better right now. And Chris, if you could do me a quick favor and just kind of reintroduce yourself. They moved some buttons around on this new version of GoToWebinar, and you had just finished your introduction of yourself when I found the recording button. So if you could just kind of, I'm sure most people know you, but if you could just reiterate that one more time and then just jump right into whatever you want to do.
Okay, the overview of the company overview, did you get that, Frank?
Did I get what?
When I was going over the company overview, Mitsubishi Chemical Group, and just
Yes,
laying out that.
Just basically to reintroduce yourself, that's all.
Okay, no problem. All right, so to reintroduce myself, you know, I've been with MRC 8.5 years. Previous to MRC, I worked for another golf shaft company called Harrison, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with. I worked there for about 18 months, so I can't say I was there for very long, but it felt like it was a long time. And then I had a good opportunity to join up with Mark, and you know, they were starting a new shaft company here in Carlsbad, which you know, I got on board at the end of 2006. And since then, I've been here since we started the Sara brand as soon as I started, and then we added Fubuki in 2008. We added Javelin in 2010, and Kurokage in 2012. So I've been here for quite a while. The only other guy who's been here longer, obviously, is Mark Gunther, who probably many of you guys have met. My primary role, I guess my title is Sales and Marketing Manager. I handle sales for aftermarket, and I also handle direct OEM sales. And then my marketing duties are running our social media accounts and other, you know, print ads and stuff that we do, and you know, branding stuff for new brands and products. So, yeah, looking forward to any questions you guys have later about any historical questions about our office or the company in general. I'd be happy to go in detail with that. So,
Thanks, Chris.
Yep. So let's jump to the next slide. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of one slide that I won't spend a ton of time on it, but it is something that I feel like is really important, and it's something that I spend a lot of time explaining to guys. Is, you know, as I just explained in the previous slide, Mitsubishi Rayon is a carbon fiber company. You know, our parent company does other things, plastics, pharmaceuticals, other things like that, but our parent company, Mitsubishi Rayon, strictly does fiber products. If you look at golf shafts of what Mitsubishi Rayon does, it's probably, you know, less than 1% of what Mitsubishi Rayon does. They're focused on other prepregs, resins, monomers, precursors, anything that you can imagine that involves carbon fiber. Our parent company is involved in selling that product and developing those products and making applications for those products. So, you know, you can see airplanes, cars, you know, which even though the Mitsubishi car division is not under our group, all of the carbon fiber car applications are under our group. You know, many of the airplanes, you know, whether it's Boeing or Airbus, I mean, we're bidding on those contracts all the time. So I guess what I'm driving at here is we're a carbon fiber company first and foremost, and that is probably very different than most of the other golf shaft companies that are in the marketplace today. You know, without getting into the specifics, there are some golf shaft companies that are more marketing-based companies, and there are some golf shaft companies that actually, you know, will buy fiber and buy prepreg and then make the golf shafts. But it's just not very clear from the consumer standpoint, and then even from club builder standpoint, on what's the difference between all these guys. All the golf shafts kind of look the same. You know, when we start talking about some of the tour success we have in the next few slides, I think you'll see all these numbers like, oh, we're number one in this, we're number one in that. Yes, we are, but a lot of that ties back into this is what our company does foundationally, and it's carbon fiber related, and our products perform we think some of the best products in the industry because of consistency, because we're developing and making product. We're not buying fiber and prepreg on an open market like many of our competitors do that make their products. So we're one of the only vertically integrated, well, we are the only vertically integrated shaft manufacturer that's out there today. You know, from the very basic elements, obviously we're using raw materials and turning them into the golf shafts, which is it's a bigger process than just buying prepreg and rolling the shafts. It's making all the parts that go into it. So yeah, at this point, Frank, we can either stop and field any questions from that, or
okay.
I can send it over to Zane and he can talk about tour stuff, whatever you want to do there.
Well, I got one guy with his hand raised, so let's see what he